A volatile week ends with the firing of Arkansas basketball coach Nolan Richardson. A live report from Fayetteville next on Channel 7.
This is Channel 7 News at 10.
But, you know, I still have mixed emotions. I hate to see him go. He's a great coach, and he's been real good for us through the years. But, you know, like I said, I think it's just time for a change for him, mainly.
It is official. The search is on now for a new basketball coach for the U of A. Good evening. I'm Karen Fuller.
I'm Kerry Martin. Nolan Richardson is out of a job, effective immediately. The announcement came out just this evening after a long week of accusations, negotiations, and now we have termination.
The voice of the Razorbacks, Paul Eels, joins us now. And Paul, this is not the way we thought it would play out in the end.
No, not at all. And there may still be some ramifications. We're going to look into that particular situation, too. We were hoping that a deal could be worked out. If not, we hoped at least that there would be a clean break. We got neither today. Steve Sullivan has been in Fayetteville today, and Steve joins us at this hour. Steve, you're a little chilly outside. They've moved you away from the arena, huh?
Yeah, it's cold and raining, but the real storm came about 5:45. Hey, this parking space has been reserved for Nolan Richardson for the past 8 years. I think tomorrow, Paul, out of respect for his good friend, Mike Anderson is going to leave this space empty. And you mentioned it right off. Neither party liked the way this ended. The university was hoping Nolan Richardson would just take the buyout and retire. He didn't agree, and he was fired today. And it came in a way that no one liked, a 1.5-page release. Earlier tonight, we had a chance to visit with Chancellor John White, and we asked him, when did you start thinking that it may be time to move on?
The comments following the Kentucky game about buying out his contract and he'd be gone tomorrow, that was a very serious kind of statement to make. And so certainly that was the thing that started me thinking maybe it's time.
The players, they knew something was up on Wednesday when Mike Anderson did a lot of the head coaching, they thought, at Mississippi State. But they are obviously distressed by the move. We had a chance to visit with the unofficial spokesperson for the team, Blake Edens, and he was very careful in choosing his words when talking about the firing of Nolan Richardson.
You know, there's nothing I really need to say right now that'll, you know, I'm pretty emotional. Everybody's pretty emotional right now, so for us to talk about him would probably, you know, y'all know me well enough to know I'd probably say something that I really didn't need to say, but you know, it's been a pleasure playing for him. It was a dream come true growing up watching him, and the thing about playing for Coach Richardson is I learned more about life than, you know, next to my father, he's taught me more about life than anyone I know, and that's something I'll take from him.
And 2 days ago, the players voted as a team, if Coach Richardson was let go, they would push for Mike Anderson to be the permanent head coach and look for those players to play their hearts out for Mike Anderson. Want to bring in Matt DeCampo. He's been checking student reaction for the past couple of days. It was a little different out there tonight?
Well, it was, and we really didn't give people a whole lot of time to react. It was kind of a knee-jerk reaction from fans because we're out there asking them what they think less than 2 hours after this happened. But the fans we talked to, even those who were polling to see Richardson removed from the head coaching job, they did say they had some mixed emotions tonight. We caught up with the Friday night crowd at Hog City here in Fayetteville, and we caught up with them as most of them were watching tonight's ESPN special about low graduation rates in basketball programs, including here at the University of Arkansas. Many of them did say, though, they are glad to see some closure to this very busy and very on-edge week up here in Fayetteville, even though it does mean the end of an era.
I was kind of disappointed. I thought that they should have waited at least to the end of the season before they decided to do whatever they were going to do. I think it would have been more stable for the players and for, you know, what was going to happen for the season and for some of the recruits maybe.
I wish he would have stayed around and finished the year out and then went on his way, but I guess it didn't happen that way.
I wasn't sure what to expect, but I feel like the university is going to make the best choice for the university, so hopefully they will.
When the comments came out, I was kind of on the band of, you know, let's get rid of him. You know, nobody's bigger than the state of Arkansas. Nobody's bigger than Arkansas basketball. But, you know, when the news broke today, it was a little depressing. After 17 years, you know, he's done a lot for the program.
And out of all these fans we talked to, Sully, no one really said they felt that the program had a dire future coming out of this. They think that Arkansas basketball will recover and will, you know, flourish again.
Talking about Nolan Richardson's future, the terms of the buyout Unless he gets a new job, it's $500,000 a year for 6 years, $3 million a total. Now back to Paul Eels. I know it's a very tough night for you, Paul, one of Nolan's closest friends, and I know you particularly did not want to see it end this way.
Not this way, and didn't want to see it end at all, Steve, in all actuality, but we'll look forward to seeing you again in the regular sports when we go back to Fayetteville with you and join you again at that time. Nolan Richardson will not have to be accountable any longer for graduation rates. Several weeks ago, ESPN paid a visit to Nolan in Bud Walton Arena for a program called Inside the Lines, a survey of not only Arkansas's graduation rates, but a number of other schools. Here is an excerpt of that visit with Nolan.
When you're talking about the black African-American kid who comes off to college, the number one thing in their mind is the NBA. And because of the window of opportunity being so small, they choose not to graduate simply because they want to have that opportunity.
Many Hog fans, meanwhile, were watching tonight's ESPN report, especially after the announcement of Nolan's firing. Channel 7's Melissa Parks found some of them out at the West End Bar and Grill in West Little Rock, and she joins us now with more. Melissa, how are they reacting at this time?
Well, Paul, every screen in this place is tuned into either ESPN or Channel 7 News for the latest on Nolan Richardson. Now, there's mixed feelings here tonight, but one thing's for sure, everyone has an opinion.
With news of Nolan Richardson leaving U of A, Hog fans were drawn into the rows of televisions that lined West End Sports Bar.
I thought he was a very good coach, especially knowing that he was there for about 17 years, and he put us basically on the map.
For some, the firing was justified.
You can't talk about the fans. You've been there 17 years. You're the highest paid state employee, and you cannot diss your fans out, and that's what he has done.
For others, it's hard to understand.
Maybe it's just some things happening behind the scenes that, we all don't know about.
Regardless of how fans perceived Nolan's last few days, all agree Richardson was a great coach, larger than life, and there's one thing they'll miss.
40 minutes of hell for the intensity, you know what I'm saying, the intensity. Of course the boots, all that.
I think we'll miss mostly the 40 minutes of hell basketball.
And regardless of how these fans feel, they say they wish Nolan the best, Paul.
All right, Melissa, thank you very much. We'll have more on today's activity and the situation from Fayetteville. We'll rejoin Steve and look at high school basketball stars in sports.
See you then, Paul.
Okay.
Thank you.
A husband and wife are now charged with killing their child and leaving the body in an abandoned camper. 27-year-old Jason Han and his 22-year-old wife, Chrissy, are charged with killing their young daughter. Her body was discovered in a camper last month. Investigators say they have no idea where the couple may be headed or what they're currently driving. But they say the pair never stays in one place for an extended period of time. The couple is also expected to be charged with unlawful flight to avoid prosecution.
An Oklahoma rape suspect apparently has no connection to a murdered Arkansas woman. 24-year-old Kevin Lee Castle was initially a suspect in the 1996 murder of Julie Buskin of Benton. Castle was arrested and charged with raping a 17-year-old Oklahoma woman, and police thought he could have been involved in Buskin's killing. Julie Buskin had just graduated from the University of Oklahoma. She was preparing to move back home when she disappeared and was later found dead. Futurecast is showing snow is a possibility for parts of the state this weekend. Ned has details coming up.
And Arkansas is set to play a key role in the next political election. We'll preview one of the biggest races in the country a little later.
Channel 7 News at 10, brought to you by Hospice Home Care, Brandon House Furniture, and by Landers. You're watching Channel 7 News at 10 with Karen Fuller, Kerry Martin, weather with Chief Meteorologist Ned Fermi, and sports with Steve Sullivan.
Snow this weekend? It is possible.
Yeah, and then some relief on the other side of the weekend, we think.
Screaming cold temperatures just north of Arkansas. We have a very sharp cold front that's on the way toward the state right now, and it's going to be moving rapidly into and through the state tomorrow. So, yeah, maybe a little bit of snow. Right now, the best chances for any snow to accumulate will be extreme north western Arkansas. 4 counties under a winter weather advisory for tomorrow morning. Could see maybe an inch or two in that location as the front moves into the state. We're also seeing showers redeveloping to our west with that frontal boundary. Live Doppler 7 radar showing you the rain. As we've zoomed into the Fort Smith radar, our live radar out of Fort Smith showing showers building just north of the Fayetteville area and through Washington, Benton County, and back in through the Fort Smith area and then off into northeastern sections of Oklahoma. As we take a look at the last several hours, we can show you that the showers have dissipated in the state, but once again, as that frontal boundary is approaching now northwestern Arkansas, showers are on the increase. And not only that, but temperatures are falling like a rock. Look at these readings regionally. 45 Little Rock, 52 at Memphis, 52 down at Shreveport, 55 degrees at Dallas. That's ahead of the front. But you go up to Oklahoma City, what do you got? 27, 19, 32 up at Kansas City, and readings have already fallen off into the single digits in sections of Kansas, Nebraska, and Colorado. All that cold air is set to move into our region. 45 right now with an east wind at about 10 miles an hour. We've had over a half an inch of rainfall today. High temperatures 43 degrees. Once again, we can see showers building and snow back through portions of Missouri and Kansas, and some of that snow could clip northwestern Arkansas later on tonight. All of these readings around the state right now are going to pretty much hold steady overnight, actually begin to rise a little bit. We have risen 2 degrees since we talked to you at 6 o'clock tonight. Forecast for tomorrow in northwestern Arkansas, 60% chance of rain late tonight, changing over to some snow early in the morning, and temperatures falling rapidly. 70% chance of rain, maybe changing to a little snow over southwestern Arkansas. Southeastern Arkansas, 60% chance of rain, and then northeastern Arkansas looking for an 80% chance of rain, possibly changing briefly over to a little bit of light snow during the morning hours. So once again, the big news is going to be northwesterly winds bringing in another round of very cold Arctic air building into the state over the next couple of days, and Futurecast will show clearly that high pressure area building out of Canada. The front sweeps towards central Arkansas by about noon tomorrow, and we will see colder air filtering into the region, and of course northwesterly winds very gusty tomorrow between 20 and 30 miles an hour, adding to the wind chill. Here's your forecast for tonight. 45 with cloudy skies and showers redeveloping. And then for tomorrow, we will see a high of 50 degrees. That's in the morning, with temperatures falling in the afternoon with wind shifting to the northwest, and some of the rain could change briefly to some light snow before it ends tomorrow afternoon. Then mostly cloudy, windy, much colder tomorrow night with a low of 24, and the extended forecast calls for blustery conditions on Sunday, followed by a warming trend Monday into next week, and by Friday, near 70 degrees. We gave it a 3 on the weekend weather scale, and maybe 2 of those were just because it's the weekend. Have a good one.
And you as well. This is a good one for Kerry. He's having a baby as soon as Monday.
We're expecting.
Well, you're
Monday
not.
Morning.
Gina's having the baby.
I said we. That's the key word.
Can't wait to find out. We'll show it to you on TV as well. As the May primary is drawing closer, political candidates are getting the engines revved up for some major campaigning.
Coming up, we'll talk to 2 of the candidates in the Arkansas Senate race.
The political campaign season is taking off. Arkansas Senior Senator Republican Tim Hutchinson is fighting to keep his seat. The State Attorney General Democrat Mark Pryor hopes to take his place. This campaign is being watched closely nationally. Arkansas will again be a swing state in the November election. The race is one of 6 that is expected to decide which party will control the U.S. Senate. The usual rules of campaigns may not apply.
Senator Hutchinson has been very active in supporting his constituency. Now, I mean, the other side of that is that Mark Pryor is holding an elected office in Arkansas as well, and people call the Attorney General's office.
Hutchinson also faces a challenger in his party's primary. State Representative Jim Bob Duggar of Springdale is competing for the nomination.
Tim Hutchinson officially kicked off his re-election campaign tonight. Carrie Jackson was there. She has more on what should be an exciting race to watch.
Tim Hutchinson spent the better part of the evening shaking hands with supporters. He's running for re-election on his past record.
I stand for basic Arkansas conservative values, and I'm going to talk about some of the things we've done, some of the things I still want to go back and do.
But the race to unseat him could be very close. Arkansas Attorney General Mark Pryor has an unusual advantage for a challenger: name recognition.
If they vote for Mark Pryor, they're going to get somebody who's going to go to Washington, who's going to reflect their values and their attitudes, and who's going to listen to them.
Both men have served in the Arkansas legislature. Hutchinson was the 3rd district representative to the U.S. House before he won this Senate seat in 1996. Pryor won the Attorney General race in 1998. They each see the issues of this race slightly differently.
And that's what I think I can go out and talk about what I've done for farming, what I've done on the education issues, what we're doing on the health care issues, and the committee representation that I've had. So I think we can point to the Rock Air Force Base and on and on.
What they tell me is they're having trouble in this recession. They're having trouble on their farms. They need someone in Washington who's going to fight for them to make health care more affordable. Prescription drug costs are going up every single year.
Now, a lot of money is expected to come into the state for this race. President Bush has already come here to fundraise once for Tim Hutchinson. A lineup of heavy hitters is expected to make their way through here in the next few months. Carrie?
Election day will be here before we know it. Thank you, Carrie Jackson.
One campaign has ended. This has been a week of Nolan watching, with all eyes on Fayetteville and this controversial coach.
We finally have some answers for you tonight. Paul Eels is here with the latest.
Yes, Carrie and Karen, with Nolan out, Mike Anderson is going to take over as interim coach beginning tomorrow. Mike has been with Nolan as a player and a coach for over 20 years, and he'll keep the ship upright.
They know that, hey, we got one game left, and they want...
Through Saturday, Crane Chevrolet gives. And now sports with the voice of the Razorbacks, Paul Eels.
Good evening again. Arkansas is beginning a search tonight for a new head basketball coach. Late this afternoon, the university bought out the last 6 years of Nolan Richardson's contract, and assistant Mike Anderson will take over as interim. Steve Sullivan has been in Fayetteville all this day, and when Sports Information handed out the press release, were you especially shocked at the way it happened, Steve?
I was. I thought there would be at least a press conference. I think, though, the handwriting was on the wall when Frank Broyles was cornered in an elevator this afternoon, and he said there would be a decision one way or the other by the end of the afternoon, and there was. After the meetings this morning between Nolan, his attorney, John Walker, and the president of the University of Arkansas Systems, Alan Suggs. Alan Suggs, when it didn't go well, they pulled the plug on the Nolan Richardson era after 17 seasons, and it was sad to see it end that way. And the players say there's only one way there's going to be a smooth transition. That's if Mike Anderson occupies this parking space on a full-time basis.
Here in the last couple of days, we've met as a team, basically, and we've decided unanimously, 100%, that we want Coach Anderson not only as our interim coach, but to coach us for years to come. And it's not something that we've made emotionally here in the last hour when we found out the finalization of everything. But it's something that we feel strongly about. It's not because we're comfortable with Coach Anderson. It's not because we've been around him and that's what we're used to. We feel like he's the most capable person for running this program, not only for the guys that are here, but for the incoming guys that were promised, a chance to play for the staff that was already in place.
We also are excited that Mike Anderson is going to have his chance to show that he indeed is material for consideration for head coach, and we're going to be fully supportive of him, not only in the game in which the seniors will have their send-off, but also that he'll be coaching this team in the SEC tournament. And Coach Broyles and I certainly expect that he's going to be able to take this team far in that tournament.
And Paul, I know with his connection to Nolan Richardson, that may hurt him with Frank Broyles, but the chancellor has left that door open. And if the Hogs come up big at the SEC tourney, who knows? Mike Anderson could be the man.
Sully's very capable, and I, for one, would like to see him get an opportunity. You've done a great job, and be careful coming back down that hill.
All right. You have a great weekend, Paul.
All right, Steve. The Lady Razorbacks are in the semifinals of the SEC tournament in Nashville. India Lewis scored 23 points today and leading the Lady Backs over number 12 South Carolina. It was Arkansas's 9th victory in its last 11 games and will now meet number 6 Vanderbilt tomorrow night or Auburn in the semifinals. Arkansas State coming up next when we continue with more sports.
Get double your rebates up to $5,000.
Arkansas State opened the Sun Belt tournament today and got a gift with the return of Nick Rivers, out, of course, most of the year with a broken leg, but his return today was crucial. After scoring only 2 points in the first 10 minutes, enter Rivers right here. Jason Jennings found Rivers on the left wing, and Nick hits the three-pointer that ignited the Indians. Next trip up the court, Rivers on the wing, he reciprocates. He finds Jennings inside, gets an assist. Jason hit the turnaround jumper. Good look at Houston Nutt and his dad on hand to watch brother Dickey coach ASU. And then Rivers again, this time on the right side, finds the hole for another three. ASU advances with a 58-53 win over Denver. Afterwards, Scott Inman visited with the star players.
Paul, an unbelievably gutsy performance here in the first round of the Sun Belt Conference tournament. Arkansas State's guard, Nick Rivers, was not even expected to play because he's still suffering from a broken leg that he broke way back in December. But Nick Rivers did play today, and if it weren't for him, Arkansas State might be back in Jonesboro tonight.
And I told Coach Nutt before the tournament, you know, I'm not 100%, but I feel like I can go whenever he needs me to help the team or anything like that. If it's scoring, cheerleading, passing the ball, setting screens, whatever. I just want to do whatever it takes to keep playing.
Seeing him out there to keep this team motivated, I think, you know, you can't argue and say that whenever he came into that he didn't get the lift, because he definitely did. You know, he came in and just him hitting, you know, that first couple of shots out there, that's when we made our run in the first half and kind of, you know, got our rhythm going.
Immediately after Nick left the press room, he went straight to the training room and put that leg on ice. Hopefully Arkansas State will have his services tomorrow at 6:30 when they play top seed Louisiana Lafayette. Reporting from New Orleans, Louisiana, inside the Lakefront Arena, I'm Scott Inman for Channel 7 Sports.
All right, Scott, now let's go quickly to the girls and boys state high school basketball tournaments for the finals that we have at this hour. First of all, 5A girls, Springdale losing to West Memphis 60-55. The 4A girls, it was Osceola 63, Mariana 49. 3A girls, Ozark 66, Cave City 52. There's Rivercrest's win over Lamar 60-48, and Highland 76, CAC 59. Nothing out of the 2A girls, but in Class A girls, Guy Perkins 61-52 over Mount Pleasant. In the 5A boys tournament tonight, Conway 67, Northside 63, Fayetteville 67, Pine Bluff 49, Ronnie Brewer with 27 points. 4A boys, Osceola 90, Arkadelphia 80. It was Fair 63, Alma 50. 3A boys tonight, Heber Springs 64-59 over Lone Oak. East Poinsett over Hughes tonight by 4. And also in 2A boys, Poyne 51, Parker's Chapel 43. Class A boys, Emerson 55, Wonderview 47. We have Scranton with a 62-59 win over Kingston. And in the Sun Belt again, ASU a winner, Florida International 71, North Texas 84, and MTSU over South Alabama by 1. That's a look at the scores. The Lady Razorbacks a winner tonight. Once again, Steve Sullivan, by the way, will be on Daybreak live in the morning.
All right, Paul, we know it's been a long, tough, interesting week for both of you, and we thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been a tough week, more so for, I'm afraid, Nolan, yeah.
And
Nolan
a surprise
Richardson.
ending.
Yeah.
17 seasons with the Razorbacks and some amazing accomplishments. We're going back now to Scott Inman, who takes a look back.
Very proud, excited to present to you the new era of Razorback basketball, Nolan Richardson.
Nolan Richardson was named the University of Arkansas's 9th basketball coach in April of 1985. The big-bodied, big-voiced Texan was charged with replacing Eddie Sutton, who had taken the Razorbacks to a Final Four in 1978. Fans wondered if Nolan would be able to keep the program up. What he did was take it to new heights. Coach Richardson introduced a new brand of basketball to the state and to much of the country. Prior to his reign, the Razorbacks had topped the century mark in just 26 games in school history. Nolan's teams would nearly quadruple that. His 40 minutes of hell put teams in shock, and his up-and-down tempo made his teams tough to outscore. Nolan led the Hogs back to the NCAA tournament, and by 1990, they were back in the Final Four, carried by the new version of the triplets, Todd Day, Lee Mayberry, and Oliver Miller. The Razorbacks lost to Duke in the national semifinals, but they would get a shot at revenge just 4 years later. The Hogs were in a new conference and still dominating by 1994. Nolan's crew was ranked in the top 5 almost all year long, and they didn't disappoint. Corliss Williamson and Scotty Thurman led the Hogs to another Final Four. This time, no bowing out early.
Stewart's open. Stewart. One on the shot clock.
This shot by Thurman against Duke again sealed Arkansas's first basketball national championship. The following year, Nolan was back in the title game. This time, his Hogs lost to UCLA. Nolan Richardson had built a basketball dynasty. 9 straight years in the NCAA tournament from 1988 to 1996. 3 Final Fours, a national championship, 5 conference championships, and 4 30-win seasons. Just last fall, he won his 500th game as a college coach. Away from the court, Nolan has spent much of his time raising money for charity. The Nolan Richardson Charity Golf Tournament raises thousands of dollars every spring for various charities, and Nolan has always made time for kids. Every year, he turns his ranch into a camp for children. In a poll taken by the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette just before the end of 1999, Nolan Richardson was named the second most influential sports figure of the past century in Arkansas. But it hasn't always been a love affair with the fans or with the media. Nolan Richardson played by his own rules. A black kid growing up in South Texas in the 40s and 50s, he had to work hard for everything he got, and he carried a chip on his shoulder. In 1990, Nolan walked off the court in Texas with the game not yet over, disgusted with officiating. Lee Mayberry tied the game to send it to overtime, and Nolan returned from the locker room. At the height of his success, he used his national stage as a soapbox, steering press conferences into discussions about race, equality, and how the media treated him. His rants were overlooked then. They weren't overlooked Monday. Nolan Richardson leaves Arkansas as the winningest coach in school history and is still the only coach to win an NCAA championship, an NIT championship, and a junior college championship. Reporting for Channel 7 Sports, I'm Scott Inman.
And we'll be watching the game tomorrow.
Enjoy it and enjoy your weekend. Stay warm. We'll see you Monday.
Good night.
Channel 7 News at 10, brought to you by Hospice Home Care, Brandon House Furniture, and by Landers. Thank you for making Channel 7 News one of the most watched local newscasts in America. Proud to be the spirit of Arkansas. Channel 7 News. Closed captioning by Subway.